When you think about today's meta in MLBB, what are some heroes that come to mind? You got heroes like a sword lady that can go in and out of team fights whenever she wants, a fucking dragon that actually lets you play as a final boss, which is pretty cool, or a man with a really massive, really heavy sword. If you want to win, you have to be smart to choose something that is able to keep up with these giants of power. When it comes to choosing a support or tank, you got some pretty good options, like Baxia, who's able to help counter a lot of threats, and Matilda is pretty good at engages. Sometimes I have to wonder why people aren't using Faramis though. I feel like Faramis is one of those heroes that's always been pretty good, but it's just waiting on one of the pros to use him so that they can finally be popular, just like Tank Savannah. Here are 3 reasons why I think Faramis is actually a pretty great support. Have you ever been walking down the street and you see a $20 or a $5 bill on the floor? What's the first instinct that you probably have? Well, obviously to pick it up. And that's, in a nutshell, basically what Faramis' passive is. Whenever anything near him dies, like a hero or a minion, the little soul will drop, and you really want to pick these up because Faramis benefits from these a lot. Every soul lowers his respawn time by 8%, and it heals him for a little amount. This is a pretty good passive because your respawn time can drop to just 3 seconds, which is pretty good, especially late game when he is at his best, but more on that later. So okay, he has a pretty good passive. What does this have to do with his laning phase though? Well, the reason why this helps him in his laning phase is because he always has something to sustain himself with, which means that he never has to go back to base unless he's really hurt, and he's easily able to clear up a lane no matter how thick it is. Actually, that brings me to my second point, which is the second reason why I think Faramis should be meta is because he does a stupid amount of damage in teamfights. This man kind of reminds me of a certain virus flying around these days, because the closer the enemies are to each other when Faramis uses his main damage skill, the more likely their HP bar will just poof, disappear. Nada will remain, mi amigo. While Faramis is completely useless when it's a 1v1, he can easily ruin your day in a team fight if you are too close to your allies. I can't express how easy it is to drop a marksman's health to under 50% when they're too close to their tank late game. Faramis is one of the strongest teamfight presence in the late game out of any support type hero because of the insane damage his skill 2 can do, plus a few other things about his kit, which are... The way that I would describe Faramis is pretty much the crazy burst of Aura, combined with the tankiness and speed of a Carmilla because of his skill 2, combined with Franco's special technique, "Get over here!" with a dash of Jesus, since he can revive him and his teammates as many times as they want as long as they stay inside of his ultimate circle. In my opinion, one of the most important things to know when you're playing MLBB is to know when to go in and out of a fight. One wrong move can basically mean an L for your team, and you would be the only one to blame. However, throw that BS out the window because Faramis has got you covered, baby. Death doesn't become a problem for his teammates or himself in a team fight, since they can just come back with full health and start whooping ass as though they had never died. Pretty unique and actually very useful skill in a team fight. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of my petition to the MLBB community to shower my boy Faramis with love, before eventually Moonton beats him up with a nerf hammer, so much that he ends up worse than Uranus. I honestly think he's pretty good right now, and while of course he does have his flaws, I think Faramis gives more advantages than disadvantages to his team. One main disadvantage being that in order to get the most out of Faramis and his damage, you would need to treat him like a mage on the team rather than a support. Meaning that in order to have a pretty solid team comp, you would need to give up choosing somebody like Lu Yi or Farsa for Faramis, which I'm pretty sure is not a trade that a lot of people would make. But then again, that's pretty much the reason why I made this video. Anyways, that's pretty much it. See ya.